We're going to start with Bryce Wylde right off the before I introduce the topic, because the topic is all about excrement. So I didn't want to say here with poo, Bryce Wylde.
It's a crappy topic, but someone's got to do it, right?
It's
Pull
important.
up a stool. We have a lot to discuss.
Not bad.
Yeah, listen.
Well, you know, we start our lives as children or with our parents talking about poo all the time.
Absolutely.
You're always checking in. You're figuring out what's going on with their digestive system. And then at some point in your life, it becomes one of those things you're not supposed to talk about anymore.
Taboo, right? Yeah,
It's
hush,
taboo.
hush. Yeah.
So we're going to talk about it. The sort of bowel movements you want to have, right? And how they should look.
Yep, that's absolutely right. Yeah, so, and it's funny how no matter how old we get, it's, once we do actually end up talking about it, it's something that is funny, it's jovial, and listen, we should actually
why
talk.
not?
Yeah, like, come on.
That's okay.
Talk to your doctor about this as well. I like to think that the eyes are the window to the soul, but I'll tell you, sometimes the toilet bowl is too. No, we got to learn to look more at this. It really is a window to your health.
You have to look at what's going on so that you know what's going on.
That's right, absolutely.
Why don't we talk about what it's made of
so let's
to start with?
So, you know, so let's demystify this first for people so they don't think of it as something that is so utterly disgusting. Really, 75% of your poop is about 2 pounds worth of water.
Okay,
that's on a daily basis, right? So I'm going to get you to add a few things here. This is called, we can start with this. So that there is basically fiber, right? So about 9% of your stool is fiber.
Okay.
And the other 16% is actually inorganic material and bacteria. Now, there's good bacteria and bad bacteria. In fact, there really isn't just good. Yeah, that's not so smelly, though.
Coffee,
it's just coffee grinds. Well,
I wish
it's actually
this was what it was really made of.
It's actually just chugga-roo, so you can mix that around in there.
Okay.
So we have good bacteria and bad bacteria, and the good bacteria is so key. We'll get to that more later on. But good bacteria is ultimately represents 80% of your overall immune system. So when that's not in balance, we have something called dysbiosis, or imbalance in good and bad bacteria, and that leads to a whole host of health issues. Okay, from immune breakdown to asthma and some folks, skin, eczema, all kinds of things it contributes to. And the fiber, if you don't have enough fiber, well, that's the biggest issue as it relates to the form of your stool.
Because it's not moving through,
it's not moving through properly.
If you don't have the right amount of fiber. So let's start from that end. What's happening there?
We've all seen the sheep turd once or twice in our life, right? So this stuff here, those little pellets, and they fire off into the toilet bowl and splash up, and it's a disaster if you can even get them out.
Right.
You're happy that 2 or 3 plop out after 3 or 4 days of constipation.
Right.
So that's no good. That's usually dehydrated and too little fiber.
This is all made with modeling clay, by the way. This guy's a magician.
I made this fresh for y'all this morning, okay?
Yes,
just in studio, by the way.
Thank you, Bryce.
So this is also a little constipated. You see how there's kind of like the sheep turd kind of clumped together. So we don't want to see that either. By the way, if anyone want to look this up, it's called the Bristol stool chart. This is a validated, bona fide chart that I show my patients when I'm referring to, and often people don't even know that they're constipated and we're having too loose. Yeah, so I ask them to find their normal, and they do, and then we have to have a discussion.
Okay.
These two here represent normal.
That's what you want.
That's what you want. And the size is all about the difference in anatomy. All of us, are different in shape and size, but I want you to notice one thing in particular. It's kind of got a bit of an S-like shape, okay, in both cases. This one being a little thinner and smoother. That S-like shape, that represents the sigmoid colon. On the way out, your bowels twist, and that holding tank before the colon, the rectum, is where a stool sits before it ultimately then evacuates. So when it sits there with the right amount of fiber and the right amount of water, it's going to then come out with a little bit of as an S. Bingo.
And that's what you're looking for every day when you look in the bowl. That means you're good.
And it should dive into that bowl like an Olympic diver, right? Just without much of a splash, without much of a mess. Okay. This ultimately is all broken up, and certainly when you don't see color in it. Brown, by the way, is just basically bile, which comes from your holding tank in your gallbladder, essentially. And bile's recirculated red blood cells. So when bile gets emitted and you have enough digestive enzymes going on, then you get the brown color. This is not healthy. Listen, you want to talk to your doctor about anything on this side or anything on that side.
Okay, so let's say you're on that side. What might you do to get more looking like that?
Usually more water and fiber, right?
And fiber.
On this side, it's usually more or lack of probiotic activity. You just had antibiotics and you have antibiotic-associated diarrhea. This is the #1 reason to bring in good bacteria, because the antibiotics kill the infection you might have, but they also kill the good bacteria.
Okay. If you're trying to up your fiber, you can do things like this. You can add it to your water.
So let's talk about fiber, because there's soluble fiber and then there's insoluble fiber. So let's start with insoluble. That's the stuff that just stays in your gut and it doesn't really break down. Now, we need both, and we get this from fruits and vegetables. We got to eat more of it. But this is that sort of that gloppy, gloopy mess, right? That's more of like the psyllium husks of the world, okay? So we get usually enough of that, but where we're missing is soluble fiber. It's so hard to get from our fruits and vegetables. And this is an example of something called Regular Girl with probiotics, by the way. So it's a soluble fiber. So watch what happens. So I'm going to mix that together, and literally in about 5 to 10 seconds, it's entirely going to disappear. No gloopy, gloppy stuff, right?
Yeah.
So that's called sun fiber, and this stuff is available, widely, and all kinds of different brands carry this. The Regular Girl is available online, regulargirl.com. But more of these good bacteria and fibers in your diet, more fruits and vegetables, more water, folks. You hear it all the time.
Water,
8 glasses of water a day. On average, people differ person to person, but that's where we got to maintain ourselves.
Okay, good. Well, now we know the benchmark. Now we know that if you're not in there, you got to sort of talk to your doctor or figure out what to do with your diet.
That's right.
Get that good bacteria there.
Absolutely.